Alright, you guys know what time it is. I have rewatched both of these movies, and for today's video is Sponge on the Run versus No Time to Spy. Okay, No Time to Spy could have been paired off to Sponge Out of Water, because Sponge on the Water is a superhero theme cartoon film, and so of No Time to Spy, so it would make even more sense if I compared this movie to Sponge Out of Water, but I don't feel like doing that video right now. I just want to complete the Loud House vs. SpongeBob trilogy. Well, if my channel hits over 100 subscribers, then I would be up for making these videos, and I can just compare Sponge on the Run to the really haunted Loud House instead. But for this video is Sponge on the Run versus No Time to Spy, and let's begin. Yeah, I feel like you guys already know the answer. No Time to Spy easily has the better story, because SpongeBob barely had any story. The movie is just like the show, except it is 90 minutes. But which movie has the better characters, though? Well, I mean, there's nothing to say about the characters in Sponge on the Run. I mean, these characters just come straight out of the show. Okay, I heard that people are saying that Sponge on the Run is one of the worst SpongeBob movies, and I just don't get it. When I first watched this, I thought Sponge on the Run did a fine job, especially it is a love letter to the franchise. But when I watch it again, when I was preparing for this video, and oh my dear lord, I was so wrong. Like, oh boy, I just find myself to be bored from this movie, because everything is the same thing from the shows. In fact, this movie is based on the episodes itself. Yo, there's literally a SpongeBob episode where Gary goes missing, and the funny thing is that I have seen this episode before I seen this movie. Well, if you have seen the SpongeBob shows, then you would easily notice that. Yike, my lord. Here's a word of advice, SpongeBob. If you want to make money for your movie, just actually put some stronger plots in your movies instead of repeating something that we already seen before. Well, the characters in No Time to Spy, well, they're the same as well, but the plot was way stronger than Sponge on the Run, but they have did some heroic stuff. Well, back in season 2 or 3 or something, Myrtle was a new character, but in season 6, we found out that she was a secret spy in the past, so her past enemies has captured her and is up for the Louds family to save the world. Well, I'm pretty sure you guys saw that coming by now. The movie with a slightly better story and the superior characters is the Loud House movie, No Time to Spy. Okay, what I learned from this movie is that a spy life has some consequences, and that is coming from Myrtle herself. Well, as I assume, she has been a spy since she was an orphan, maybe, and she never had a wife or a family. But in the present day, she do now, but no matter what life she live in now, she couldn't escape from her spy life, and that is a real secret identity thing that came out of a comic book, and I really did feel for Myrtle. Well, with Lincoln Loud being just a 12-year-old, well, he doesn't understand that until at the end of the movie. When the moment come when the spaceship was about to nuke, well, at first, Myrtle wants to do the sacrifice, but Lincoln was more willing to sacrifice himself for his family to live. When I first watched this movie, I did not see that coming. Like, Lincoln was willing to give up his wife just to save his family, and that's how much he loved them. And that emotional beats was impactful and tragic. Well, okay, Lincoln has survived, of course, because Nickelodeon does not have the guts to kill off their main characters. And even the background music fits so well to the emotional touch. But what about Sponge on the Run? What's the character's arc in this movie? Well, SpongeBob's whole character arc is about him having the courage to defend himself, and the way that he defends himself against King Poseidon at the end of the movie shows some character development. And plus, the rest of these characters share the same arc of missing SpongeBob, and they even all tell a emotional backstory to understand how great SpongeBob is. And the way that they tell that story was pretty impactful. Well, although the flashback scenes of Sponge on the Run was pretty confusing, because SpongeBob met Sandy for the first time in the first season of SpongeBob, where they're adults, not at camps when they're kids. But for this moment, I just ignored that. They're just doing a emotional flashback scene just to set up a spin-off series on Nick Jr. Overall, the characters expressing how much they appreciate SpongeBob before SpongeBob was about to get killed. Yeah, that's right. That's what these two movies had in common, is that both of these main characters almost got sacrificed. But anyway, it was a good moment. It was done so well, and the music just followed through that emotional scene. And it literally almost made me cry. Like, seriously, I am not kidding. A drop of tears almost fall out of my eye when I first watched this movie. Well, the tension of Lincoln attempting to sacrifice himself was unexpected, but it never once made me cry, just like Sponge on the Run did. Well, I still like this moment, but this movie didn't even come close of making me a little bit emotional. Well, if the SpongeBob and Gary moment, or the characters appreciating SpongeBob wasn't emotional enough, then I can mention that Sponge on the Run has a lot of emotional flashback scenes, which it works a lot. Okay, so the movie with the more effective emotional stuff is Sponge on the Run, but the movie with the superior heroes and character arc is No Time to Spy. Okay, when I put that there in round 3, well, I already tell it is obvious. The characters in this movie was even more annoying than the normal SpongeBob episodes. And there's a lot of times where SpongeBob and Patrick just argue with each other for no reason. And that is giving me Fathom and Eddie vibe of them fighting each other for no reason, and Let There Be Carnage, and gosh, I hate this movie so much. And the cameo appearance just felt a bit overused, and that makes the 3D animation look fake because of it. Well, don't get me wrong, Keanu Reeves was fine being in the SpongeBob movie, but I liked him better in John Wick, and not going to lie, the animation was great. But after all, this 3D animation was just expired by the Peanuts movie. Well, as for No Time to Spy, well, the characters are the same, but they have a far superior development. In fact, this movie was pretty hilarious. I mean, seriously, No Time to Spy has one of the best jokes of all of the Wild House movies that I have seen. And I gotta tell you, I laugh so hard at all of these jokes. Like, I never laughed so hard on the Wild House content ever since season 1. Or 2, I don't know. But the jokes are good though. I mean, these comedy scenes actually makes me laugh. Okay, well, the animation style kind of look the same like the actual show, but in disguise. But I think it's better that way, because this movie just come straight out of the show. Well, I think No Time to Spy is our true Wild House movie. Like, who knows? And listen, if I have to compare all of the characters from No Time to Spy to Sponge Out of Water characters, then I would easily say that the Wild Family spy agents are the superior superheroes team, in my opinion. And the Wild Sisters had more screen time, too, and I like that. So without a doubt, No Time to Spy wins this round. Okay, we all know that No Time to Spy is a knockoff of No Time to Die James Bond. But I never seen any of the James Bond movies, so I don't know it has the same story or not. Well, however, I saw some references from James Bond, but I have no idea it has the same story or not. Well, to me, the story in No Time to Spy is more like the Spy Kids movies. Well, the Spy Kids franchise are known to being really fun to watch, and that's exactly what No Time to Spy is when it comes to action. With No Time to Spy being a spy movie, we get to see some fight scenes in the Wild House franchise for the first time. I mean, Nickelodeon were always against the violence. They always played it safe with the fight scenes, especially the Wild House. Like, we never seen a physical fight in the Wild House series. They always give us a fighting cloud, for God's sake. But in No Time to Spy, we actually see the characters throw hands at each other, like it's about time. And the car chase sequence was pretty good too. Oh, and don't get me started with the big guy with an iron hand. I mean, I thought he was pretty cool. And he did pull up a good fight against Myrtle. Well, as for Sponge on the Run, oh wait a minute. This movie does not have any action. In fact, the only action scene that I seen from the SpongeBob movie is the 2015 one, and even the first movie. So mind that we call it a easy win for No Time to Spy. Oh, what about the villains in this movie, though? Okay, the main villain of this movie is Phoebe. Well, she is the Loud's family vacation roommate. Well, she starts off pretty innocent in the beginning and the middle of the movie, but plot twist, she turns out to be the director of the evil group of people. And I am not going to lie, this movie really did fool me. Well, it was a little predictable though, but still. And Phoebe was pretty much the mastermind of all this. I mean, her getting close to the Louds was just a part of a plan. Well, even though she did not have enough screen time with them to begin with. And speaking of which, the movie runtime says an hour and 20 minutes, and I ain't buying that, because for me, it felt like an hour and 50 minutes. So there's no way that movie is that short. Well, I like the plot twisting, but Phoebe just seems a little too weak as a fighter. I mean, she just got tackled by Myrtle. Yikes, she was struggling. Well, she was pretty intelligent, sure, but at the end of the day, it felt like that we defeated her too easily. Well, like I said about this big cool guy with a sick iron hand, his was pretty awesome in this movie, and I liked him as a side villain, and he did pull up a good fight against Myrtle. So, what do I think about the villains in Sponge on the Run? Like, what do you mean? Sponge on the Run does not have any villains at all. Okay, well sure, there's King Poseidon, but I don't consider him as a villain, because he was just an insecure king that wants his face to be pretty. So yeah, King Poseidon is not a real villain, even though he tries to steal Gary away from SpongeBob. Like, this movie has no action and no villains at all, and that kind of makes this movie so boring in its own way. Okay, I'm pretty sure y'all know it is pretty obvious. Okay, so the movie with the superior action and villains. No Time to Spy all the way. Okay, it seems like that I don't like Sponge on the Run anymore, but I still do, but in my own way, I kind of don't like it anymore, and I was starting to like the second SpongeBob movie better. Well, Sponge on the Run had some good emotional moments, especially when it worked so well, but the movie itself just sort of got boring when you don't add the villain in this movie. Beside King Poseidon's, even though he is really not a villain, and playing the song Take On Me makes this ending less impactful. Yeah, you see what I mean? Well, to be honest, I did not expect No Time to Spy to do any good, because I was disappointed with the Loud House Christmas movie. Well, I have seen the Halloween version of the live-action Loud House, and it was actually pretty decent. And then I saw how the Casa Grande movie performed, and it was better. Because of No Time to Spy is just a rip-off parody to James Bond, well, I did not expect it to be any good, but this movie actually blown my mind. the Loud House movie 2 was actually as good than I thought. Well, No Time to Spy has a pretty good music score. It has a lot of fun action. Well, a little accurate what I said in my review. This movie has a strong family story. And what you guys don't know about me is that I am a huge sucker of family story in films. And this emotional family story in No Time to Spy reminds me of Blue Beetle. And why this movie is so great, because of it's a movie about family, and that includes Fast and Furious into the conversation as well. It is a pretty fun ride or die movie about family. And this is why they're so good in general. And The Loud House and their movies, of all things, did pretty well with the family plot line. So yeah, that's how you make a good Loud House movie. And not like this, or that, or hell no. And me personally, I think the director behind this film deserves some credit. Sponge on the Run is a good movie, but as time passed, it is not any good anymore. Well, No Time to Spy is one of the best Loud House movie to me. It was better than the first movie and Casa Grande in combine. Well, in fact, Nickelodeon should do a big crossover movie with the Louds and the Casa Grandes. Alright, it's time for the ratings. In my opinion, No Time to Spy gets a really good high 10 out of 10. And Sponge on the Run, well, at first, it was going to be an 8 out of 10, but now that I have watched it again, as I was preparing for this video, now the rating scores has turned into a low 4 out of 10. So yeah, now that's over with, I am not going to watch Sponge on the Run ever again. Well, hopefully the new SpongeBob movie that Nickelodeon is going to make did way better than the recent one. Well, No Time to Spy, shockingly, did not disappoint me, and I would definitely watch it again on general, and I can't wait to compare it to Sponge Out of Water as soon I hit a lot of subscribers.